This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Welcome to Speak. I'm Joy Taylor. That's Super Bowl champion Keyshawn Johnson, NBA Finals MVP Paul Pierce, and Fox Sports senior NBA analyst Slick Rick DeBucher. What do you call him? Bucher the Rick? What do you call him?
Archie.
Archie.
Or Ron Howard.
That's not going to stick. That's not going to stick.
A young Ron Howard.
Slick Rick, it's Thursday, but it's Friday for us, so let's get ready to go into the weekends. And the Thunder, they're heading to the NBA Finals. OKC blew out Minnesota to close out the Western Conference Finals in 5 games, finishing off the gentleman's sweep with a dominant 30-point. Shai scored an efficient 34 points as the Thunder punched their ticket to the finals for the first time since 2012. So, Paul, focusing in on Game 5, are you impressed by the Thunder or are you disappointed?
I'm thoroughly impressed with the Thunder. I mean, 68-win team, number 1 seed. They just dominated in the conference finals. They made Ant-Man look like a mere mortal. Like, seriously, the suffocating defense. You know, and when I look at championship teams, I try to look for chinks in the armor. This is one of the more complete teams that I've seen in quite some time. I'm talking about you have interior presence on offense and defense. You have an unstoppable guard. You got defenders on all the wings and off the bench. I mean, there's no weaknesses that I can say. Of all the teams left, I can point out weaknesses for the Knicks. I can point out weaknesses for Indiana. But when I look at Oklahoma and what the dismantling that they have done to the Western Conference teams throughout the season and now here in the playoffs, this is their trophy to lose, I promise you. And I was looking at this stat. Listen to this stat. The players with 70 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists through a 2-game span. You want to know the players that's on that list? LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan on a 2-game stretch in the conference finals. That's elite company to be in for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We're talking about an all-time run right now by this kid. And if we're going to start talking about faces of the league, if they win the NBA championship, we got to start looking at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, I am impressed with the Thunder. I'm disappointed in Anthony Edwards, but we'll save that for another time. I'm impressed with the Thunder because, look, I knew the T-Wolves were overmatched in this series. I did not expect them to win. But I also didn't know, seeing a Thunder team in the Western Conference Finals for the first time ever, with the opportunity to go to the finals and the best record in the league to defend, if they were going to live up to that. And they did that and more. They took care of business, and it was the way they took care of business. This is the youngest team in the playoffs, and they played like savvy vets. There was never – I can think of times where watching the Warriors in their heyday or the Boston Celtics, there were times where they didn't let go of the rope, but they kind of lost their way a little bit. I don't know that I saw that with the Oklahoma City Thunder, certainly through these finals. Yeah, they got blown out one game when they came home, but outside of that game, they were just so consistent. When things would go a little sideways, it was only a possession or two, and there would be a timeout, and they'd come back out, and they'd be right back at business. And that's what's so impressive to me, that a team this young, this relatively inexperienced in the postseason, has handled their success the way that they have.
Yeah, I'm obviously super impressed with what the Thunder was able to do. They're number 1 seed. They took care of business the way they were supposed to. When you're the number 1 seed and you're playing the way that they've been playing throughout the entire playoffs, I didn't expect anything other than this. They're at home, and I think being at home for them is a key in the postseason, because you could just see the crowd behind them and them getting the crowd up and going, especially when you got big dunks coming down the pipeline from Chet. You know, he had 22 points, and that joker's so tall, it's just like one of those, get him anywhere around the rim. If he plays at a physical level, he goes right back up there. You can't stop him. You can't match that. So when I started thinking about it, and like you said, we'll get to Ant-Man, Shai, they all following him. I mean, no matter who it is, it could be Jalen Williams, it could be Chet Holmgren, it could be Lou Dort to a degree. It's almost like he's a quiet leader without all the facial expressions and all the different stuff. He just knocked down shots left and right.
You are disappointed, though, that OKC is going, right? You wanted Minnesota and New York.
I wanted Minnesota.
That's where your disappointment comes in.
I wanted
right?
Minnesota, New York, just from a television standpoint.
Yeah.
From
an entertainment standpoint.
Yeah, from an entertainment standpoint. But you'll still get entertainment from SGA because he's the MVP. Okay. And I'm assuming Indy will come out of it based on what happens tonight and then in Game 6. I think it'll go.
And that's where you're going to have trouble staying awake on the couch.
Why?
Because it's going to be Indy OKC.
We're watching an all-time team, guys, right now. Whether you
I agree.
Yeah, that may be true.
like whether we know it or not.
I just want to know if Key has kind of changed his tune now that we've seen what we've seen.
I still feel like, for me and my eyeballs as a basketball fan, I like the game of basketball and these two teams playing.
Okay.
But I think just from a television standpoint, instead of it being a whatever rating, is going to be a lower rating. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
From a casual perspective, it's not even a conversation. Timberwolves-Knicks matchup would have been the best matchup for
would have had way more buzz.
For the casuals, it would have had more buzz. It has more storylines. The Pacers, assuming that the Pacers finish this off in 5 or 6, and the Thunder is going to be great basketball. But, I mean, we're not going to... The New York Knicks in the NBA Finals would have been a bigger conversation.
100%.
Well, Knicks ain't out of it yet.
We'll get to them in a second. I'm going to dissent. I'm more disappointed in the Timberwolves than I am impressed with the Thunder. The Thunder are playing incredible basketball. They are on an all-time run. They do have the MVP. They won 4 more games than the next team in the league and 16 more than the next team in the West. They do have the league MVP. They're where they're supposed to be. Now, they've stepped up, but they've been ascending for some time. They've been building this for some time. So I'm not shocked, I will say, that they look the way that they do. They have unbelievable chemistry. They were favored, one of the teams favored to come out of the West at the beginning of the season. Shai was one of the favorites to win the MVP this year. So are they doing what's expected of them? Yes. Is it impressive still? Of course. But I'm disappointed that this is over in 5. Now, if it had been 7, gone down to the wire, if this has been a competitive series, maybe we're having a different conversation because somebody's got to win and lose. But it's over in 5. Like, the Western Conference Finals are over.
I know, right?
There's no more basketball. I think that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Like Ant is a superstar in this league, and there's no more Ant this year. That's done. Julius Randle, 6 points in game 2, 5 points in game 4, and had more turnovers than shots made in the first half yesterday. Naz Reid, 2 points and 3 turnovers in his first 8 minutes, dribbled the ball off his foot on a breakaway opportunity, finished with 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 fouls. Gobert. If you stack 3 of me, you've got 1 Gobert. Like, where is he?
Looked like Robert Parrish about 2 weeks ago.
Nobody can trust him. He had 2 points and 1 shot in 19 minutes. That's unacceptable. That's disappointing. Yeah. That's a former Defensive Player of the Year. So not taking anything away from what the Thunder did. They were dominant. They were impressive. Shai's been unbelievable. They're super fun to watch. Everything is coming together for them. But let's be serious. This is disappointing. I mean, 5 games to the Western Conference Finals when they did the same exact thing last year. I understand it was a little bit of a different team. But I'm disappointed that there's no more basketball to watch. And let's be honest, this wasn't a really competitive series.
Paul,
it just wasn't.
When did OKC take the soul from Minnesota? What game?
What game? I think it was game 4. Like, because when you look at it, Ant didn't play well, but for the majority, Minnesota played well. The bench has 60 points.
Yeah.
I feel like if Ant played better, he didn't take the shots that he needed. He wasn't aggressive, but they looked at that like that was the let's hold the fort right there. That was the over the hump game to tie the game up, to tie the series up 2-2. So that, it was a 2-point loss, I believe, in game 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think right there from that point on, and they saw what Shai was doing, it was like nothing we could do. It was discouraging for them.
Yeah, I agree. Because that was the most competitive game of the series. And look, you can say that they beat them by 40 points. They did, but
they was already up 2-0, though, right?
Up 2-0.
Yeah.
they took the foot off the gas. Yep. They felt that they had a bubble, and they did, because the series is over. I think it's disappointing. Anytime it's a short series, for me, it's disappointing in the conference finals.
Well, especially because you can make the case that Minnesota had the talent to make this a competitive series.
Right.
A much more competitive series than it ended up being. So, no question that there is a certain amount of disappointment that it wasn't a better series. But again, I'll go back to, choosing between the two. Yes, I'm disappointed that the Timberwolves didn't play better or play more up to their standard. I'm just more impressed with the Thunder because they exceeded my expectations in terms of what they were capable of doing because they're so young and they're so relatively new to this. Just when I take a step back and I look at them, I'm like, you'd never know that they'd never been in the Western Conference Finals before. That last year was the first time, right? And that they're the youngest team in the playoffs. There's just nothing about the way they carry themselves, the way they play, that suggests that. And that's what I find impressive.
And they're so good defensively.
Man. Caruso be talking about a hustle face.
The whole team.
The one steal, he got the steal. I forgot who he kicked it back to. It might have been Shai. He just was self-display. He just said, boom, you take it. I could get me 2 points, but I feel like I'd rather have you get the 2 and I'll get the assist. That's how you play basketball in winning fashion. You don't be selfish, and he wasn't selfish in that play.
But they have a really magical balance of not being selfish and their stars still getting the shots that they need to get.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, distribute it, but when it's time for Shai to go off, he goes off.
I never seen nothing like this. A team so young, the way they understand their roles. Because, when you're on young teams, you're still trying to make a name for yourself. You're trying to establish yourself in the league. And, sometimes you go out there for selfish reasons. But they're so tight-knit, and they understand their roles at such a young age that this is going to be a team that's going to be good.
It is crazy when you think about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got guys like Wallace and Wiggins coming off bench and understand I play defense. I make shots. You got Chet Holmgren, who probably could be an all-star. He got to take a step back because of Shai and Jalen and J-Dub. Yep. So just to see this from young players at this stage, and you the youngest team in the league, and you already in the finals. But understand, they took their lumps. People forget they've been in the playoffs now for 3 or 4 years.
This is last year was their first year.
Playoffs.
No, they was in the playoffs.
Shai has been in the playoffs with OKC.
Wasn't they in the playoffs?
He went with Chris Paul.
That's what I say. He was in the playoffs with CP3.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking 3 years ago they were not in the playoffs. They were 40 and 42.
They've been in the playoffs for 3 or 4.
Some of them have. Yeah.
The core.
Some of them.
Core.
Yeah. Well, Chet's still relatively new, but to your point, that when I think about it, because when your big three came together, you guys were all veterans,
right?
And the pieces fit, and these young guys, they're making the pieces fit. Like they've slipped into their roles so naturally.
Right.
It's crazy that it's happening that easily.
How does this compare to your 08 Celtics team?
Man, I was looking at the numbers. Like me just watching it with the eye test. Man, they turn defense into offense better than we did. We would just stop you and get the rebound. We was good. This is probably when I look at it, I say you got Caruso, he's a lockdown defender. You got J-Dub, even Shai is underrated defensively. You got to watch him. Chet, we obviously know. I think our defense was rated all-time, top 10 all-time rated defense. This is before this is said and done. I think they'll surpass that, especially given with the era of the three-pointers and the pace and the way they're playing defense. And, they're outscoring you by 12 points a game in a regular season, which has never been done. They're going to go down as a top 5 defense. It's ridiculous watching this because a run is coming. And when you look at the numbers, it's hard to really kind of match the numbers because the pace is, the rating, we have a better defensive rating, but the pace and the scoring is up than when I played.
Right.
And so that's probably equivalent to a lot of the things we do. And look, points off turnovers, as you can see, they're right there. I think they're going to go down as probably a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Timberwolves season is done, and the ending was rough for Anthony Edwards and company. Minnesota clawed up from the 6th seed to their second straight finals appearance before getting rolled by OKC in 5 games. Last night, the Wolves had 12 made field goals and had 14 turnovers in the first half, falling behind 65-32 at halftime and eventually losing by 30 with their season on the line. So, Key, where do the Timberwolves go from here?
Man, you gotta, first of all, there's a 24, 48-hour cooling off period, whatever the case is. So you got to get your mind right. They got to go get their mind right, even though they're going to have to watch tonight's game because that's what basketball players, athletes do. Watch tonight's game, get that over with, and then just try to figure out what has gone wrong over the last 2 years. They tried that last year when they made the trade for Julius Randle and DiVincenzo and moved on from Cat. Now they have to figure it out again. Like, is there somebody that we need to try to go get to help us in certain situations? Is there somebody on the team that we need to move on from? But the Celtics have been in this situation before, too, when they were constantly in the East getting bounced. Then they finally went and lost to Golden State. And then they finally went again and finally won. So I look at the same sort of pattern for Minnesota. Well, they're still in it. They can't all of a sudden think, oh, we got to blow this thing up. Let's just go get to our summer and let's regroup. Let's figure it out from that standpoint. That's what I think they should do.
Slick?
Yeah, stay the course. I mean, it is such a young team. Naz Reid is 25 years old. Jayden McDaniels is 26. Obviously, Ant is 23. Julius Randle's 30. The only old guy is Mike Conley at 37. And then you got some young talent on the team. Terrence Shannon Jr. has demonstrated that the playoff stage is not too big for him. Rob Dillingham didn't get a chance to play, but I was impressed with what I saw before he got injured this season. So I think there's something to be said for continuity. And the number one thing for me is that Anthony Edwards has to become what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is not just being a great talent, but understanding how I lead a team and how I do what's necessary at the right times in a game. When do I have to be aggressive? How do I get everybody else involved? How do I evolve my game so that I can operate in different places on the floor so that defenses don't have as easy a time of a double and triple teaming me and making the floor difficult for me to operate on? I don't think they have that far to go. Because so much of their trouble has been self-inflicted. And I think if they can clean that up, they can take that next step and they can be in the finals.
Well, for one, Rick, there's no way they can stay the course. I mean, there's levels to this. And OKC showed me the levels. You know, if this series had to win 6 or 7, I can say maybe stay the course. Build what you got. But they have to get better. Clearly they have to get better. They were dominated.
But don't you think they can get better internally?
Well, I think you keep a lot of the pieces together. They got to get younger at the point guard, Mike Conley. I don't believe that Mike can be your starting point guard moving forward. I think he can be a great veteran presence off the bench. But, like, they looked at this team. When they come back for training camp next year, they're going to be like, look, guys, because Oklahoma City's going to win the championship. They're going to win the championship. They're going to say, we're going to have to compete with these guys for the next how many years? So how do we shorten the gap? Because the gap is pretty wide between these two teams. They were number 6 seed, probably could have been a number 2 seed, if not 2 seed, Minnesota, if not for injuries. You have to upgrade Rudy Gobert. He's proved to be a non-factor in the conference finals 2 years in a row. So how do we get better there to bring somebody who can at least contribute on both ends of the court at the center position? And if you can improve there, and a lot of things I didn't see in this series, they didn't make the adjustments. They didn't find ways to get Ant-Man easier opportunities. He had to work so hard from the top, you know, and they were doubling him at the top, doubling him at the wing. They got to find ways to get him easier opportunities. So I think they just got to reevaluate. Don't panic. Re-sign Randall. You can bring him back. And just try to get better, because you forget, OKC's not going nowhere, but other teams are going to get better too. Houston is coming. San Antonio, they're going to be there. They're going to get better. You know, we're not really worried about the Lakers too much, but these other young teams, in the mix, they're going to get Denver. Denver's one piece away. They pushed this OKC team to 7.
They KD away?
Yeah, they get one more piece to go with Joker, and they'll be ready. So that's all I say for the Timberwolves. They got to get better internally, upgrade at the point guard and the center position. They'll be right back in it.
Yeah, I don't think they can stay the course. I don't think you blow it up, but you got dominated.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, because the same thing happened last year, and you tinkered with it, and you got the same exact result. And I don't put this all on Ant. I do think Ant needs to be more consistent in the postseason, but he had no easy shots whatsoever. So they didn't make it easy on him. They didn't make the adjustments. Gobert, again, where are you? If you find him, let us know.
Whatever that game he had, whatever, I don't remember which game it was so long ago.
Versus the Lakers?
Was that against the Lakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he went crazy. He used all his playoff
out there looking like
right
Jokic.
There. He did all that way back then.
Yeah, I think they keep the core together, but Paul's right. There are some teams coming in the West next year that are going to get better.
It's going to be hard to move Rudy.
No question.
Yeah.
Okay.
They gave up the league to get him.
Yeah.
So double down on the mistake?
No, but it's going to be hard for people to want to take the contract and take. Why do I want your
But
jump?
this is also the tricky part. Is you can aim to say we're going to build to beat OKC, and you just mentioned Denver gets another piece.
Yeah.
Maybe Denver's the team to beat, and that's a different dynamic that you're going up against.
Yeah, I don't think that they should necessarily build to beat OKC. They should build to be better internally, but they have to change things. 2 years in a row, you've had the same result in the postseason. Western Conference Finals, and you've gone in 5.
But this is relatively other than like Conley. I mean, Rudy Gobert a little bit. Those
are significant pieces.
No, but I'm saying they're a young team as far as I'm concerned.
Right, I'm not saying you get rid of the youth. I'm saying
thing,
there's pieces that you need to tinker with.
But think about it. The Celtics went through the same thing. And then they eventually said...
But they added pieces.
That's what I'm saying. Eventually,
they were smaller pieces, though.
They added a few pieces. Then they went and got the big piece to win the championship.
Kristaps.
They got Porzingis, and they got Drew. Those are the two big pieces.
Same two positions Minnesota did.
After they went through what Minnesota's going through, getting hit upside their head.
But I would also say that Jason Tatum evolved and Jaylen Brown evolved.
Right, and we all think that Ant is going to get better. So it's really the other pieces. And those are two significant pieces that they have to look for. Coming up, Dak Prescott is healthy and 2 elite wide receivers he has in the building. But Pro Football Focus listed Dak as the 17th best quarterback heading into this season. We'll tell you if that's unfair next on Speak. And don't forget, you can check us out every day on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM.
It's their hype music. They take all the pre-workout. They get so excited to play football. And then when I'm going after you, quarter after quarter, play after play, series after series, and I start to see that love leave their eyes. Really love.
Oh my God. Damn, I like that part. Manifested. You know what they call it? That means it was a thought. But when you take that thought and bring it into its physical equivalent, they say you transmuted it from your brain to its physical equivalent. And George Pickens is here.
Playmaker and Cowboys first-round pick Tyler Booker are hyped for the upcoming season in Dallas, but Pro Football Focus is low on Dak Prescott. They rank Dak as the 17th best quarterback. 17 heading into this season. And what they call their Tier 3B, solid starters that need more help. There are tiers here. So, Key, is it unfair to have Dak Prescott as the 17th best quarterback?
Yeah, I think Pro Football Focus is kind of just picking on him as far as I'm concerned. Whatever the grading metrics are, I don't agree with it. I don't think he's the 17th best quarterback in the National Football League. Like, I'm not taking Kyler Murray over no damn Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. And I'm not taking Trevor Lawrence over Dak Prescott. You know, so when I started looking at it, I'm like, come on, man, y'all need to really chill out. You know, I like Jordan Love. He's done some amazing things in terms of coming and taking over for Aaron Rodgers and getting them into the playoffs 2 years in a row, beating Dak Prescott. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I still ain't taking Jordan Love over Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. He's not the 17th best-ranked quarterback in the National Football League. No, that's not.
I agree. I mean, I don't know where to put him, but I got him like in that 10 to 15 range. He's grouped up with this group, though. You know, and you can shuffle them all around between Baker Mayfield.
But he at the top of that, though.
Yeah, I mean,
he at the top of that for me.
But I think the reason is he didn't play last year. And usually when you
got hurt,
out of sight, out of mind, and you see other guys performing, then you tend to push them down in rankings. But they're a group. I always say when I rank the quarterbacks, it's hard to put a number on them. Like the best quarterback right now, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say Patrick Mahomes, but then you got a case that Jalen Hurts might feel like he's the best right now, coming off the impressive season and winning the Super Bowl and MVP.
Depends on what system.
You know what I'm saying? But I got that group. You know, you got the big four that we always talk about. Then you got the next group, Stafford, Goff, and all them. And then, that he lies right in that third group.
See, as much as I like Goff, I don't know that Goff is better than Dak Prescott.
At this stage?
I just don't. I just don't. He finished the season.
He's been to a Super Bowl.
I understand he's been to a Super Bowl.
This year he had a pretty
They moved on.
good
They
year.
moved on from him.
But he played well the last couple of years.
He's played well in Detroit with Ben Johnson, but he also gave you some head scratchers too now. He gave you some head where you sitting there going,
all these quarterbacks
going
to give you some head scratchers because Justin Herbert gave me a head scratcher.
Like as much as I like Geno Smith, I mean, like,
this is not a serious list.
It's not serious.
This is not a serious list. It's not serious. This is
just not
serious. What are we talking about? When has Geno Smith won a playoff game? The answer is never. When did Justin Herbert finish second in MVP voting? Never. What are we talking about? Listen, I'm a certified Cowboys hater, but this is getting absurd. Dak Prescott has had really high-level play in this league. He was second in MVP voting 2 years ago. Last year he was hurt. What has Justin Herbert done? Justin Herbert is a very talented young quarterback who has accomplished nothing in this league. From an individual standpoint, he looks great. He has great highlights. He puts up numbers. He has not won anything. Dak Prescott has got to get a little bit more respect.
Yeah.
Geno Smith?
And I like Geno.
I like Geno too.
And I think he's going to do good for Pete Carroll.
I like everybody, okay? Everyone is wonderful. However, what are we talking about?
But
Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. What has Trevor Lawrence done?
I don't know that one.
Trevor Lawrence and Kyler Murray, though. Seriously.
No, it's absurd. He is at worst 10th, and I would honestly put him at 9th because I'm not putting Justin Herbert in there either.
Ooh. See, as much as I like Justin Herbert, I'm not putting him over Dak Prescott.
I'm not putting him over Dak Prescott.
I mean, he's got the look. He's tall. He stands in the pocket strong. He's got a laser rocket arm. He got all of it, but I'm not putting him in front of Dak
I love that if this is Mr. America, but this is the NFL. You do have to win things. He's not a rookie. He's been in the league for years now.
And I'm not
Dak was hurt last year. When Dak is healthy and Dak is playing at a high level, he is capable of winning an MVP in this league. He's the 17th best quarterback.
I think when you look at...
Is he old or something? He's in the middle of his prime. Now, listen, I don't think that Dallas... We're going to talk more about Dallas in a second, and I'm going to sound very silly because I don't think Dallas is going to be very good this year. But that's not based solely on what Dak Prescott is capable of doing.
See all them in the same group. I think all of these quarterbacks right here from 10 all the way to where they got Dak at 17, they need the proper weapons around them to be.
Man, he better than all these dudes. I'm just keeping it a buck. Yeah. Anybody from 8 on down.
What are we going off of?
I'm going off my eyeballs.
Just like his talent?
I'm going off my eyeballs. What I see.
Better?
Talent, accomplishments.
Accomplishments, talent.
Okay.
I mean,
consistency, availability.
Dak Prescott can throw the damn football, man.
Yeah, all of these are quarterbacks. They all can throw.
No. But I'm talking about, of course they all can throw. Knucklehead. I'm talking about he can pierce that thing
that was like
in between
when your
tight
mom is
windows.
Like, smart mouth.
Who? What's what?
Paul's comment.
He's a...
Smarty pants.
I would call him something, but I might get into trouble. But... Yeah,
this is disrespectful to Dak Prescott.
It really is.
It actually is.
He should be behind Matthew Stafford, and the only reason why he should be behind Matthew Stafford is because Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. because he's won a Super Bowl and he's willed his team to playoff appearances.
I would put Jared Goff ahead of him right now, but I'm not putting Justin Herbert above him.
The thing is, what's the gap between all of these? It's a small gap, if anything.
If I put
the
Dak
gap between Dak and all of these guys is a short gap.
But it might be. But if I put Dak Prescott, for instance, at number 11.
How about this?
In San Francisco, what will Dak Prescott be with Shanahan? He'd be pretty doggone good.
We don't know.
Yeah, we would know.
I mean, he's been pretty good for the Cowboys, though.
And he would be pretty damn good in San Francisco.
We all see when the playoffs come.
But that ain't all him, no. That's their team, too.
So it's all him when they win.
I mean, some of it is him.
Some of it is, but not all of it.
If we're going off that, like, why is Geno Smith above him? Why is Kyler Murray above him? Why is Trevor Lawrence above him?
Pro Bowl. He's coming off a Pro Bowl.
I could sneeze and go to the Pro Bowl.
No, but Patrick Mahomes didn't make Pro Bowl last year.
But Patrick Mahomes didn't deserve to go to the Pro Bowl because the other two quarterbacks in the conference played better.
I'm just trying to give a reason. Like, I mean, it's not convincing.
He does not belong at 17.
No, he don't belong at 17. I agree with that.
He don't belong in any teams.
But I do agree that he's in the third tier of quarterbacks.
I don't know about that one, Paul.
I think he's top 10.
Well, if we go 5 is the first tier.
I would say 6 because Jalen Hurts to me is in that. And
so you put him behind Jayden Daniels?
Right now, I'm going to take into consideration what happened last year, but I'm not going to just erase the fact that the year before that, when he was healthy, he almost won MVP.
Yeah, I think you can do that, but I think all of them guys, I think the next class is interchangeable. I
don't think Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray,
Jordan Love played
Trevor
2 damn
Lawrence,
seasons as a starter, man.
Justin Herbert are close to being in the MVP conversation next year.
True that. Yeah, I can honor that.
So we got to move them up. Now let's all say bad things about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are projected to win. Their projected win total for the season is 7.5. So sportsbooks don't have high expectations for Dallas. Paul, is it insulting for the Cowboys to have a 7.5 expected win total?
Ooh, we did the count the other day. We brought out the schedule. This is a tough one for me. It's definitely not insulting, because when I look at their schedule, I mean, I'm just looking at the first few weeks. If they could get off to a good start, like week 1, they're going to start off with an L. That's at Philadelphia. You could probably get New York, Chicago. Green Bay's going to be tough. Jets, tough. And when I look at the schedule, man, the last 6 weeks of the season, the last 7 weeks, man, it's going to be tough to win a game until they get to the last game of the season. So I think that number's just about right, 7.5. I'll give them 8, just giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'll go put a bet in right now since that's 7.5, because I know the lines can change once the season starts. But I don't have the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs, and that would suggest that this is a pretty accurate number, around 7.5.
I have them about 9, so I'm going the over, but I also don't have them in the playoffs. I also don't think that this is insulting. I think it's realistic, even though I'm taking the over. When you look at their schedule and you look at the division being better than it was even last year, because I think the Giants are in a better position from bringing in Russell Wilson to be the starter. I don't know that their run defense is any better yet. We still have yet to see if they've actually been able to improve that. And maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I think Schottenheimer is a step down from McCarthy. So I think 7.5 wins is reasonable.
It's crazy because you say 7.5. Paul, what did you say, 8?
I give him 8.
So I'm taking the over.
I got him at 8, right? So I got him losing to Philly, beating the Giants, losing to the Bears, winning against Green Bay, losing to the Jets. I got to do that. It's in New York. Beating up on Carolina, losing to Washington, losing to Denver, beating Arizona, losing to the Raiders at the Raiders, losing to Philly,
losing to Kansas
City, losing to Detroit, beating Minnesota, beating the Chargers, losing to both Washington and the Giants. So that's 8 wins for them. That's what I got them at, 8.
Yeah, I mean, I have them at 9. You both have them at 8. And Vegas has them at 7.5. I think it's reasonable. But why do you think that they are they're going to take such a significant step back this year? Because they have added some
a little bit of coaching changes,
pieces.
a little bit of coaching changes, and they obviously added George Pickens. I don't know who the running back is going to be. I don't know how the line is going to shape up. You know, defense, are they going to be able to stop the run? Are they going to be able to run the football? Is the secondary going to be intact? Somewhere in the secondary, is Trayvon Diggs Trayvon Diggs, is he going to be healthy and coming back? Almost said Stephon, his brother, but Trayvon, is he going to be healthy and coming back? You know, are they going to move on from him because of his injury and trade him at some point in the year? Like, all of those sort of things are question
There's a
marks.
lot of questions.
Well, how healthy is Dak going to be?
I think Dak
will be fine.
He hurt every year, so he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Let's talk about Caleb Williams entering year 2. In excerpts released from an upcoming book, Caleb and his family reportedly wanted to avoid the Bears before they drafted him, considering a move to the UFL instead. Caleb addressed the report unprompted at the beginning of his media availability yesterday. Let's take a listen.
Get this started. First, let's start off with it is what everybody would love to ask about is this whole storm that happened. It wasn't something that we wanted to happen at this point. We're focused on the present. We're focused on now. It's a challenge to be able to come in here and try and turn around. And that was the main goal of all of that, is to through all of what was going on, through all of what happened in last year and previous years. I think that was enticing. I think that was something that was glaring to me, that I wanted to come here and be the guy and be a part and be a reason on why Chicago Bears turn this thing around.
So, Key, are you buying Caleb's explanation?
He's committed to him right now. Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be? He's their starting quarterback that they drafted #1 overall. Part of the problem is you got Pops speaking up about you not wanting to be in Chicago a year ago prior to the draft, and they trying to figure out how to, move around, get you out of there, get you to another team, to the point where it became something. Now, all of a sudden, that article that came out here a couple weeks ago is not going to do him any good unless he wins. Because if he doesn't win and turn things around, that pressure on top of what Pop's pressure put on him by saying some of the things that he said about Chicago's organization and all of those sort of things is not helpful. I understand his father was his dad was looking out for his best interest, but the problem is he's in Chicago now. Mm-hmm. He ain't in New York or in Minnesota. He's in Chicago playing, so everything is extremely important. If he does something wrong, the boo birds is going to come out, because the Chicago fan base is going to be, they watching. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be they're going to be happy if your dad is saying these things and now you got to spin it and say you committed to it and you happy to be there and all that. Well, 19 months ago, you don't want to be there. So it's like, so I say he's committed to him right now because he's there and he's a starting quarterback. With the moment that thing go sideways, it ain't gonna go so good.
No, I mean, he's saying all the right things.
He's supposed to, though.
Yeah, of course. But did the words actually come out of his mouth saying, I didn't want to be there? Like, I didn't hear that from him. I just didn't. I didn't.
Paul.
When somebody else speaks it.
Paul.
You know what I'm saying? Like that
Paul.
look up.
That
look up.
Yeah, for real, though. Look, though, Joy. Seriously.
No, he did not.
He did
Factually,
not.
you know what? Paul's being very literal today.
Yeah.
We can't be joking with him. He literally, all the quarterbacks throw the football, and literally, Caleb did not say this.
No. So
did not come from him.
It did not come from Caleb. Out his mouth.
Came from his camp.
So let me ask you this, Paul.
Yeah.
So you with me all the time. You with Cuzzo all the time. You with Joy all the time. You with somebody else all the time. And the people catch us and asked us, man, what was Paul, and we like, man, Paul, he feeling a certain way, whoop, whoop, whoop. It ain't coming from you. To them, it's coming from us.
Right.
But because we gave it to them, because you gave it to us. That's the same thing. He at home, that's his daddy.
But when you said it, I changed my mind.
It didn't sound good when you said it. When you had said it, it didn't sound the way that I said it.
Right.
It sounds different when I say it.
I wish him the best of
You're
luck.
putting a little extra on it.
I wish him the best of luck, and I think he'll do a phenomenal job with a new coach in there. But if he does not, them passionate Chicago thirsty fans are going to have a problem with it.
Look, there were plenty of reports that he was trying to not go to the Bears.
Absolutely.
And I don't care. Because I think organizations have a responsibility to put the players in a great position to win as much as players have a responsibility to go there and work hard and be great as well. Is Caleb going to end up being good enough to overcome the Chicago Bears organization? We'll see. Because, look, we don't know how good Caleb's going to be. But I do know that no quarterback has ever thrown for more than 4,000 yards in the Chicago Bears organization. That's been around a very long time.
That's probably going to continue.
Okay. Well, their concerns about him going there and being able to be successful were warranted.
But you
I
can
don't
be
like this
successful
idea.
though, without throwing for 4,000 yards.
Maybe he won't have to do that. Maybe he'll be able to win a Super Bowl.
The weather
there
won't
without
allow
having
him to
do
in
it.
Chicago.
But what I'm saying, but there's also a reason for that. It's not just that like great quarterbacks have gone there and won and also not thrown for 4,000 yards. Chicago has been bad for a very long time. There's a reason why this story had any kind of legs to it at all. It's not like he was trying to get out from going to an organization that is habitually winning and just happened to be at the top of the draft because they had a down year or something. Like, I like what the Bears have done. I like what the Bears did last year. I didn't think it was enough last year. It turns out it wasn't. I like what they've done this year, and I think there's lots of pressure on him. But this idea that everyone's just supposed to be grateful to be there. These organizations are trash year after year after year after year. They fire coaches year after year after year after year. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They don't put players in a position to win. They don't have the right facilities. They're bringing in crazy GMs. They're hiring people that ran around in golf carts to make football decisions, and then all of a sudden it's just the player's fault. This super talented player comes in here and can't turn things around in 3 years, and it's because the player's a bum. I'm not saying that he should have forced his way out of Chicago. He clearly they did the right thing. He's in the right place. Everyone's excited about what Chicago's going to do. For the most part, I think Chicago Bears fans are behind him, and it's good, and they should be. But this idea that players just all it's all on the player to go in there. You guys have been not Chicago specifically, but there are organizations that are awful. They're run terrible. Mm-hmm. And players just go there and their careers deteriorate and we're like, yeah, they're garbage. Or maybe this organization hasn't done anything for 20 years and some of it is on them.
Rex Grossman went to the Super Bowl.
All right, listen. All right, tell me this.
Don't throw that at me.
Like, maybe this got misinterpreted. So, like, check this out. I'm Caleb, and y'all asking me, do you want to be a Chicago Bear, right? Mm-hmm. And he say, I'm good. How you interpreting that?
Body language. Body language. Body language.
How's that
but I'm based on your body language.
No, I said, I'm good.
Your body language. How you look, your body language. And then I'm going to say, either you want to be, if you...
I want to be a Chicago, I'm good.
Then I'm going to say you want to be a Chicago Bear. But if you hit me with the, I'm good, man. I'm great.
But it's the same.
It's where the inflection is.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he'll be fine. I always guard against young players because I've lived it as the #1 overall pick. Whatever pick you are, I guard against young players having pressure put on them just because it's crazy. And people don't, if you hadn't been in those shoes, you don't understand it.
Right.
That pressure that is applied to him. Forget last year. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about this year because last year, as a #1 overall pick, he goes in there and he's a rookie. He's a big learning curve. No matter who the coach was going to be, as a rookie, it's going to be a big learning curve.
So what's a successful season look like for him next year?
The same as it would for Justin Fields. Learn how to play the damn quarterback position at the pro level. Let me see you drop back, hit that back foot, and let it rip. Let me see you not panic and start running around because somebody passing you, color flashes your eyes. Those are the sort of things that's important. Yeah. Young quarterbacks, though, or young players in general, though, when that pressure starts to mount, you can't let it get to you. And I think last year he let some of it get to him. And now you come back this year, now we got this off-season story that comes out that's going to carry into the season. In the moment that it doesn't go well, something goes wrong and they lose their first couple games, you're going to start to hear all the noise and not going to give him a real chance and an opportunity.
And that's why I disagree with it. Like, I don't think it should add any extra pressure. It will.
It will.
It will, but I don't have a problem with this.
Yeah.
He's not the first person that's had a father get involved with who was going number 1 overall.
Yeah, that's true. But those guys that parents got involved, it worked out for them.
They didn't go to the place.
They didn't go to the place. They put their foot down and wind up getting moved.
I got a question, though. You wrote the book, Give Me the Damn.
There it go, right behind you. Sell me some more copies.
Yep.
Zoom in. It's right behind Paul. There you go.
Did you feel like, even though, say, I never read the book, if I never read the book, people going to look at that?
They look at the headline. They look at the cover.
But was that, you put pressure on yourself with that?
I wasn't even thinking about it, though. That part, by the time I wrote the book, my rookie season was over. So I didn't really care.
Did you feel like, oh, I got to deliver because of this book?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I did good in my second year. I did cool. And then I took off my third year. Yeah. First year, I didn't care about getting to the stadium because our coaches was terrible.
Yeah.
I had Richie Kotite. Forget it. My second year, I had Bill Parcells. So I learned how to get to the stadium, learned how to play football. My third year, I was a made man in New York. By the end, it was over with because I had Parcells and they knew what to do with me. That's the important part. When you got young talent can be screwed up so many times, as Joy say, by going to the wrong organizations and having the wrong damn coaches that don't know what to do, except hire their friends that drove with them in golf carts along the way.
Coming up, Oregon joined the Big Ten last season and won it straight away. Ducks head coach Dan Lanning joins Speak next to tell us what's in store for this season. That's next on Speak.
Awesome day to be a Duck, man. Just a lot of fun to experience the atmosphere that this place creates. We have to develop leadership in this team. We're not returning a ton of experience, but we're returning some really talented players. There's a lot of guys in that room that I think can play winning football, and it comes with experience. Those guys stepping up, creating leadership, creating standards for our team, and those guys attacking. We've got a lot of opportunities to step out in the field and figure out what we have, but I think we're a team that can attack you in different ways, and we got to take advantage of that. I do think we have the people in the back end that are going to help us play winning football and be a team to compete with. Not everybody in the nation gets to play in an environment like that for a spring game.
Welcome back to Speak. We're joined now by Oregon head football coach Dan Lanning. Thanks so much for joining the show, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You guys showed up in the Big Ten and won it in year 1. How validating was that for you as a head coach?
Well, it was a fun first step. Getting to experience a great conference, some storied traditions, getting to be a part of that and perform as well as we did was a lot of fun for our team, certainly rewarding, but doesn't have anything to do with next year. It's time for the next one.
According to 24/7 Sports, Oregon has the 5th ranked recruiting class in the 2025 year. How do you feel about this class compared to your other classes?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of time. You're really talking about the 2026 class, I assume, the next group.
Yes.
And, to me, we've always been a team that had the right group at the end, and that's what you worry about is as you get to the end. Signing day is a long ways away. I love the guys that we have on our group so far, our team so far, but excited to see what else we're able to add.
Coach, how you doing?
Doing great.
What does Dylan Gabriel bring that other QBs in Cleveland don't?
The guy is just a winner, Paul. He has unbelievable poise. He's got a lot of experience. He's played in some different programs. I think that's a great benefit for them. And he's as cool as the backside of the pillow. I don't think he never gets too high, never gets too low. And I think he'll handle that really well.
So you guys open up against Northwestern here on Fox. How excited are you to roll right up in Evanston and playing against the Northwestern Wildcats?
I think it'll be about 9 a.m. our time, which is perfect because we practice in the morning. So it'll be unique. I think they're building a new stadium, so this will be the last time getting to play in that stadium that they currently have. Got a ton of respect for their program, but that'll be a fun one for us for sure.
So you've been pretty successful when it comes to both recruiting and the transfer portal. What's your approach to getting these great athletes at Oregon?
I think consistency. I think consistency is really important, and you build it over time. It's one thing to have, great recruits. It's another thing to do a great job developing those players into great players. And we've been fortunate to get the right people here that care about Oregon, that want to be great, that take a lot of pride in playing here, and then our coaches have done a really good job of developing those guys and creating opportunities.
I love Joy's question, Coach. You had to see my expression on my face when the camera went to a singer with you. He says, she asked you the question about, getting the players in the portal and everything. And I said, although it's legal now, and hey, fair game for everybody. Do you like the new format changes in the college football playoff, the way things are shaping up?
Yeah, I think there's still some questions out there on what exactly it'll look like, but I don't spend a lot of time worrying about the stuff I don't control. So, wherever the game's at, it's our job to go win it and go play. I do think that it's created some excitement with having more teams in the playoff. I think that's a lot of fun for fans and certainly fun for student athletes.
You guys have a pretty unique brand up there. We talked a lot about you guys last year. You're a very spirited coach, which we love. But what is it that separates this Oregon program from everyone else?
Well, I always say Oregon's about innovation, right? They're always on the cutting edge. And as much as I thought college football was different my first year, coming here 3 years ago, now going into year 4, it's changing as much as ever right now. So being able to adapt and adjust, that's something Oregon's always done. They've always been fresh. They've always been innovative. They've really supported student athletes, whether it's, creating new facilities, improving the campus. There's just a lot of growth around this place. And I think it's because we're never satisfied with the status quo. We want to continue to push.
Coach, how do you deal with losing so much talent to the NFL and still be competitive next season?
Yeah, nobody cares what you lost, right? I mean, that's the truth. You got to go out there and perform every single day. And as long as you've done a great job in recruiting and development, the rest will take care of itself. There's no excuses in college football. You got to go be the absolute best. But we believe in the people that we have on our team. And maybe they lack some experience, but they have the talent and the want to be great. And that's what we have to make sure we pull out of them.
Well, speaking of your upcoming team, who is someone that you're really excited about that we can keep an eye out for next season?
Joy, I always hate this question because whoever I don't say, right, everybody else.
Okay, but you're just telling me. No, there's no shade to anybody else. You're just excited about somebody.
No shade to anybody else.
No shade.
I'm excited about this entire team. You're going to see a ton of new faces. And, that's coach speak, but I'm not falling for the trap. I mean, we've got some really talented players, some guys that return some great experience. But I don't look at our team all of a sudden and say, okay, that's a big deficiency. We're missing. But we lost 10 guys, to the NFL. And that means we got to find 10 more. And I think we will.
So before we let you get out of here, Coach, I'd like to have a little wager bet or something, somehow, some way. Paul Pierce had a little bet, and he had a little walk about a week ago because the Celtics wind up not taking care of business against the Knicks. We play you guys up in Eugene, Oregon, and we haven't done so well up in Eugene. And, I'd bet that if y'all lose, and I don't know how far your home is to work, but Paul walked 18 miles to work, okay, because he lost his bet. But I would bet you, if we come up to Eugene and we beat you, that you have to walk from home to work at whatever hour to make it on time, and I will wear Oregon gear the rest of the year on Saturday.
Ooh. The rest of the year?
The rest of football season, better yet.
On Saturday?
On Saturday.
I love that. I don't mind. I'm 10-minute drive, so that's a long walk.
That's
but
30
my
minutes.
ass will get up and make that trip any day. So that sounds like a deal.
Oh,
and Lincoln Riley better not let me down.
I'd love to see you wearing green, Keyshawn. You look great in it. Again.
Well, you know what? The good thing is Oregon always has fancy gear. So
Oh, yeah.
You'll have different options every week. Every weekend if this goes down. Thanks so much, Coach, for joining us.
Coach.
Best of luck this year. We appreciate you stopping by.
Except when you play USC.
Of course.
Best of luck all year. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Coach. Coming up, who needs to step up for the Knicks to get fans yelling bing bong after tonight's game? I swear that Heller writes these for me, okay? And I just didn't. I'm sorry, New York. I don't even talk like this. That's next on Speak.
What is bing bong?
Don't worry about it. It's Heller. The Knicks need to win tonight in order to force a Game 6 and avoid elimination against the Pacers. New York is a 4-point favorite at home, but they lost the first 2 games in the series to Indiana. So, Paul, who needs to step up tonight for the Knicks?
For me, obviously the Stars have to play well. This is an elimination game. You're at home. A lot of pressure on the Knicks. But for me, the X factor is Mikal Bridges. I think, when I saw what he did in the Boston series, I thought he was key in helping them win games. When he had big games, they usually win. And I looked up a stat. The Knicks they're 4-1 when he gets 20 or more points. So I'm expecting him to try to step up today with the season on the line. If they're going to make any more noise in this series, he has to play well for them. You know, I know what I'm getting from Anunoby. He's been pretty solid for me. He plays tough defense. He's been making shots for the most part. Of course, you know, Brunson has been delivering, Cat as well. But for me, Mikal Bridges. Does I say that right? Mikal or Michael? Mikal Bridges. I think he's the X factor moving forward in this series.
For me, it's Josh Hart. I know that he's moved to the bench and they're starting Mitchell Robinson, but that to me means that he should have an even bigger impact because he's getting more time against the second units. And if you look at his numbers from the last game, 12 points, 11 rebounds, you'd look at that box score and you'd say, oh, he was doing his job. He did his part. He also had 5 turnovers. And when he is efficient as a I don't want to say playmaker, but when he has 1 or 0 turnovers and he's got 4 or 5 assists, when he's just efficient in being part of the mix, they generally win. And when he's not, they don't. And so I need him to have a bigger impact. He's always going to give you that energy. But when he gives you that little bit more, I would make the argument that if he had just played a more efficient game in Game 4, that we'd have a 2-2 series tie. So for me, look, I've seen Mikal Bridges. He's been contributing for the most part. Anunoby for the most part. Everybody is giving what they're capable of. I think for me, Hart is the difference maker.
You know, we talk about the guys on the court an awful lot, right? You start saying, well, who should be this or that? You're at home, so the role players should play better at home, no question about it. But you need your 2 stars to step up. You need Bronson to stay out of foul trouble because he's been in foul trouble late in the games, and so that's cost him a little bit. And then you need Towns to be Towns at home. He's got to not put himself in a position where he's not doing anything to the late quarters. He's got to from first to fourth. He's got to play that way. And then you're talking about off the court, Tibbs. Tibbs has got to do a better job of his rotations and understanding. Go away from the norm. And I know it's probably hard because he doesn't like to go too in deep with the depth. He likes to play probably 6, maybe even 7. But maybe you look into getting some of those other guys in those situations. And don't go to the locker room with your timeouts. Don't be afraid to use your timeouts.
Yeah.
Because you can't use them once you go home.
They don't count for extra points.
Oh, my God, no. Especially if you get bounced, you really ain't going to be able to take them nowhere.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see Cat be contributing throughout the game. Obviously, he's had the ability to show up late and be tremendous. But, I mean, the game that he had in Game 1 was fantastic throughout the entirety of the game. He was cooking. We need that. Obviously, Jalen Brunson has showed up, stay out of foul trouble so you can stay on the court. But this is going to be a game where everyone has to step up. Like, we've, for the most part, gotten big performances from the stars throughout the series for the Knicks. This is what it is. You're up against the wall. It's an elimination game. You're going to need a huge performance from someone that you're not expecting, and you have to have the stars star. Like, this is the Pacers are going to try and get this done tonight. You have the fact that you're at home on your side. Role players generally play better at home. Step up. Use the momentum of the crowd and, make this series a little longer for all of us because they're Western Conference Finals.
We're running out of material.
We are running out of material. Looking at the 2 stars who are up 3-1 in the conference finals, Tyrese Haliburton became the first player ever to have 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers in a playoff game. On the West side, the regular season MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is averaging over 30 points in the Western Conference Finals, including 40 points in Game 4. The stars are starring, but Paul, who had the better playoff run so far, Haliburton or SGA?
Man. Woo, man. Listen, though, SGA is out here on a historic run. But who had to come from the farthest? It has to be Haliburton. Nobody saw this coming a mile.
Traveled.
Distance traveled to where he at right now, on the verge of an NBA Finals. Whereas, you kind of expect some things from a guy who's won MVP, who's on the number 1 team in the NBA record-wise, coming out of the West. You expect expectations from him. But from Haliburton, think about this. when I look at SGA and I think about his playoff run right now, can you, like, kind of tell me some of his, like, memorable games? Like, okay, the 40-point game on the road to Minnesota. I'm going to remember that one. But this guy has already had, like, 4 iconic moments in the playoffs. We're going to be talking about that shot that hit off the top of the Madison Square Garden roof and came back down and fell in for the win. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the free throw, get the free throw rebound, come back and knock Cleveland out the playoffs. Milwaukee, the same thing. And I'm like, this. And then he doubles back with a 35-point triple-double with no turnovers. I'm like, what is this guy? This is like a coming-out party for Haliburton. It really is. And people have questioned, is this guy a superstar? Well, maybe he wasn't a superstar, but in the playoffs, superstars are born. Haliburton's a superstar, and it was born this year. It was born on this playoff run. Nobody had Indiana going to the finals. They're going to the finals. It's going to be OKC versus Indiana.
It's a game tonight.
I get it. This is a consolation. This is just, they need viewerships. They need, sponsors. They got their stuff they pay for commercials. So
got to get those ads in.
They got to get those ads in. But we all know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's Haliburton. And, you can argue for SGA 100%. Because what he's done has been nothing short. But when we talk about moments in the playoffs, how many more moments do you remember from Haliburton and SGA? You remember more from Haliburton.
For sure. Yeah, no, it is Haliburton for me, too. And it's largely because he's transformed the way that we look at him, especially when it comes to closing. You can start with, you didn't even mention, like, you're up against the Milwaukee Bucks, and he wins it by going right at Giannis Antetokounmpo and going to the cup. Like, that, for me, was the first signature, not just because of who it was against, but the fact that we never associated Haliburton with the guy who threw the dagger. He was throwing the pass. He was setting somebody up. Now he's doing both. And you mentioned it. It deserves being mentioned again. When I think about the way the Pacers play, they play with the fastest pace. Haliburton is the point guard. He has the ball in his hands the most. He's playing in a pivotal playoff game, and he goes 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, and not a single turnover. That is just phenomenal efficiency, playing at breakneck speed in a vital game that put a stranglehold on the series. Like, that, to me, is, for all that Shai has done, has Shai really surprised us with anything that he's done? I mean, he's kind of lived up. He's lived up to what we expect. Tyrese has gone above and beyond whatever we thought he might be.
If he misses that shot that bounced off the top of Madison Square Garden,
you are so hung up on that.
No, Paul just was saying it went up and came down. I'm saying
hit the top of the Madison Square Garden roof.
Yeah, and it came down and went in. If he misses that shot,
like the Larry Bird horse
if he misses that shot, we ain't even really having that conversation, right? Because the Knicks win the game, I'm assuming, at that point in time.
That's a big assumption.
SGA is averaging basically 30, let's round it up, points, right? He's giving you everything from the regular season into the postseason with an MVP on his back. The stress level of having a 60-game win season, the number one deal. Okay, if you're the number one seed and what if they were the number one seed and they would have went home? That stress that is applied to him. Now, you say, well, he's got some players around him. They're running deep, all those sort of things. Yeah, they are. But they rally around him. He's got them playing a certain way. That's why when you see...
Whoa. You don't think Haliburton's doing the same thing for the Indiana Pacers?
I'm just making my case for SGA.
I know, but you're changing the question.
How?
Because you're bringing in, like, the regular season and all this.
Well, I'm saying I'm bringing in the regular season because he's continuing.
What does it say?
He's continuing.
Joy, what does
to do
it
the same
say?
thing in the post.
Who has the better playoff run?
But a lot of MVPs go into the postseason with the pressure on their back, and they don't get to the ultimate goal. Do they not, Rick? You've been covering it for a long time.
Haliburton did not have expectations going into this postseason. Haliburton's been incredible. He's completely changed the narrative on himself. He has arrived as a superstar in the league, and he's had unbelievable moments throughout this postseason. I don't want to penalize SGA's consistent excellence.
Consistent.
For the moments that
What
are
that is?
You're with Keith.
thrilling. Yeah, I mean, SGA won the regular season MVP.
Talk to him, girl.
16 games better than the second team in the West going into the postseason. They had the -- 1 overall seed. They've been dominant throughout the playoffs. They've taken down winners on the way there, and they just gentlemen swept Ant and the Timberwolves.
Do you think the Wolves have? Do you think the Wolves got a good D? They got
Do the
good
Wolves?
defense? Yeah.
Do the Wolves have good D?
Yeah, good defense.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, good D.
Okay, good D.
Yeah,
They're pretty good.
yeah.
Good.
You see what he did?
Whoa.
You see what he did? He's killing. He killed KILT them. Okay.
Whoa.
I wouldn't necessarily say that the Knicks are running around with a great defense.
What do they have, Keith?
A good defense.
Y'all
got to
the Western
grow
Conference
up.
Finals back-to-back
This
years.
month.
But how does he make it to the finals? That's next. Let's speak.
This too far, man.
I
What the hell is
tried.
wrong with y'all?
I tried.
You see?
Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves got bounced out of the playoffs, losing by 30 to the Thunder. Woo, it's the second straight trip to the Western Conference Finals, but Ant isn't growing complacent going into the offseason. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna work my butt off this summer. Nobody's gonna work harder than me this summer. I tell you that much. So, yeah, I'll try to make it happen again for Mike.
Paul, how does Anthony Edwards take the next step?
Man, I heard it in his voice. That was a frustrated player who's determined to get better. I saw it in his eyes and I heard it. But in order for Anthony, he has to go back and say, listen, he had a great year. I mean, he all NBA performer, career highs in a lot of different categories. But this is what I need from Ant to elevate his game and take it to the next level. I think he has to do a better job. We know he can score at all levels. He could be a better mid-range shooter. Of course, Rick is going to probably say something of that nature. But I believe that he has to become a better passer. He has to be better at making his teammates better. I pulled up the stat because I said, man, when he's out there getting his teammates involved and causing havoc, getting into the paint, finding his guys and making them better, they're an unstoppable team. Because that's what I had to learn as a player. When I got Kevin and Ray, the evolution of my game was like, hey, how can I can just make other guys better when it's not my night or when they have it going. And that's how my game matured. I remember in 2 finals games, I had a 38-point game, and then the next game, I had like 16 points and 10 assists because it was an involvement of like maturing, knowing they were going to play me to score the next game because how well I scored before to where I was unstoppable even more by passing the next game. And that's what I want to see from Ant because look, when he has 7 assists, the Wolves are 16-3.
Yep.
So he's only had 7 assists in 20 games out of the 82 or how many he played plus the playoffs. So that's what I want to see his game evolve in that matter to where he can have games to where, shoot, it don't have to be about me getting 30 tonight. I can go out here and 14, 15 assists, maybe 15 points, and we win the game. So that's the next step I want to see.
And that was the playoffs, the year you recruited Ray in KG. Is that the year?
Yeah, that same year.
Then you got rid of Antoine.
Yeah,
okay,
we did some binding. We had to do some binding during the season.
I'm with you. He needs to be a better playmaker and be able to involve his teammates. But in order for him to do that, he has to be a threat in the middle of the floor. I want to see him develop a game where he can catch it on the elbows, he can catch it in the middle of the floor, and he doesn't need to put the ball on the floor to be a triple threat in terms of I can either score from here or I can take 2 dribbles and get to the baseline or get to the middle. Because if he's there and he's a threat in the middle of the floor to either get to the rim or to take that shot, that's now going to cause the defense to contract, and that's going to open things up for his teammates. Right now, when he's working off the top, primarily he's always working from the top, and he's looking at a set defense, and they can crowd him and force him into places, and it doesn't create the same openings or the same shots as it does if he's in the middle of the floor. So I hope, look, that was my concern when he spent last summer with the Olympic team and he was with Steph Curry and it was like, man, I want to be able to shoot the 3. And And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Improving your three, there's no problem. But Ant's so dynamic that if he's just a three-point threat, it's taking away some of the other things that he can be and what he can do for the rest of the team. So I hope he gets back to that. I mentioned the stat previously, but he shot half of his shots this year from three-point range during the regular season. He didn't shoot any more shots overall than he did last year. He just shot 3 more threes, and that came from his mid-range game. So he wasn't working from the middle of the floor as much, and I think he needs to get back to that.
Yeah, and as you can see right there, Rick, I didn't steal your notes.
You're always stealing my notes.
I didn't steal your notes, but he certainly should do exactly what he said he was going to do over the summer. Work on his game and come. You can see it in his, like Paul said, you can kind of see it in his eyes. This is a humbling experience for a guy like that. You know, when all of a sudden you get done the way that they did against OKC. But you got to just keep working your tail off, man. That's all, you know, that's very easy to say. But if you continue to keep doing that, work on his dribble drive shooting, get to his spots, the mid-range game. He started a little bit of that yesterday. You could see him pulling up a little bit in the middle. He wasn't, you know, it was too late.
He's not
a little too
proficient
late.
at it.
Yeah, I understand, but he at least was starting in that avenue, carry that over into the summertime, and I'm sure he will. If he can do those sort of things and not try to carry the team on his back at the same time, get everybody else involved, then he'll come back a much better player.
Well, you know, he's such a young player that we can all feel optimistic that he can still add things to his game. He's not at the point in his career where we're like, yeah, you need to improve on this, but it's kind of who you are at this point. He still is establishing his identity as a star in this league.
Yeah.
It feels like he's been around for so long, but he's 23 years old. Like we talked about it yesterday. Jordan didn't win his first championship till 28. LeBron didn't win his first championship till 27. He's 4 years away from that. Like that age. That's how much more he has time to develop in this league and add things to his game.
Paul, when you were young and your season was over with, did you go back and like watch all your games and all your stuff and study up that now you know what the opponents are trying to do to you, all those sort of things? I think he's going to need to do that as well.
Absolutely. I would go to our film person. I said, listen, I need the whole season on DVD. Boom, before I leave, before I even left.
VHS.
No, it's DVD. Yours was VHS. Remember them TVs you had to go to turn them? No remote.
You got to move the ears around?
Yeah, definitely did that.
Yeah.
To get the whole style. 82, I need all 82.
What I'm curious about is, because your mid-range game, your ability to work off of the elbows, that was your sweet spot.
Yeah.
You had what I would hope that he is going to add to his game. How did you develop that during the offseason? Like, was that playing? Was that working with somebody? How did you get the footwork and the balance and that shot?
Well, it's definitely playing. I play a lot of 5-on-5, did a lot of individual, and I watch tape, you know, because when you start becoming the major threat on the scouting report, you have to find ways to do more with less dribblings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I had to learn, like, listen, I always practice, let me see if I can score the basket 1 or 2 dribbles, you know, and I think he has to start heading in that direction. Also, he has to learn how to be a foul merchant.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't get to the line. Like, you could go 1 for 2 in the first quarter, but if you shoot 6 or 7 free throws, you're being effective. And that's the difference between him and SGA, and that's why he's mature, because you can have a bad game and still score 30. Mm-hmm. Say you make 15 out of 16 free throws and you go 7 for 20.
But I think that mid-range game or being 3-level scorer goes a long way toward being able to draw fouls. Because when you get halfway there, now if you can hit the mid-range, now they're going to step up on you, and now you can take that step and create that contact.
But has that changed over time, though? Because when Paul was playing, what y'all shoot? 15 threes a game?
30.
Y'all was up to 30?
They shoot 60 now, Keith.
Yeah. Well,
a couple teams like the Celtics.
Celtics.
Celtics for sure.
Average probably is 50 then, across the league.
For the league, but what were y'all averaging?
Like a lot would be 30.
And Ray was probably taking
5 or 6.
5 or 6.
I take about 4 or 5. Like as a team, if we shot 30, that was a lot for that.
See, and I think that's why the mid-range game has kind of lost its art.
It has, and during the regular season, you can get away with it. But when you get to the playoffs, and you're playing the best of the best.
And it's more physical.
It's the influence on the best players.
Yeah.
Everybody always try to emulate the best players. So when I was coming in,
Steph messed up the game, but that's
Jordan.
worse.
Jordan was the,
Yep.
I was watching Jordan make mid-range. I'm watching.
All day.
And then now you watching, in this era, watch Steph.
Right.
Dang,
How he
Lillard, Steph, all
revolutionized the
them
game.
dudes.
Jordan revolutionized it his way.
Yeah.
And before Jordan, it was about post play. It was about getting the ball down low to the big men. And so, that's just how it is. And now the game has changed, and this is what it is.
Coming up, do the Steelers already have an elite quarterback in Mason Rudolph? We'll tell you if that's fair or foul next.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
All right, it's time for fair or foul. I'm going to set up some important sports news items, and we'll decide if they are fair or foul. Starting with the Steelers, the internet was so kind to let me know that Aaron Rodgers is actually he's not there yet. He doesn't actually work for the Steelers. It's important news because my phone doesn't work, actually. I don't have internet on it. And so the waiting game continues. And meanwhile, OTAs roll on in their third day in Pittsburgh. He's not there. So wide receiver Roman Wilson hyped up the actual Steelers quarterback, Mason Rudolph, calling him a, quote, elite quarterback. Fair or foul, Key?
Did you see that throw? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Have you ever been dunk hunting? Boom, that's what it looked like.
That looked like my throw.
It's foul, man. Come on now. It's foul. I understand it's his teammate. And
Why is it foul?
He's not good. I'm gonna keep it a buck. He's not good. He's a backup, a lifetime backup. He's not good. He's just not. He's not good. That's why they waiting on Aaron Rodgers. If he was good, they'd say, go on, bite your business. Aaron Rodgers, they waiting on Aaron. They begging Aaron Rodgers to come play for him, Paul. Think about it. Did you see that ball? That wobbler?
I saw it.
We call that routes on air, which means that you're throwing against the air.
All right, so look, the act of my teammate calling me elite is fair, Key. I want to gas my teammate up. That's cool.
Right, but
he might be the starter going into the season.
Well, that's like calling me tall.
I wouldn't say
you can
that.
say nice things about me that are true.
But maybe he's looking elite in practice right now.
Did you see the ball?
That's one pass. That's fair.
Even if he's looking elite, Mason Rudolph is not an elite quarterback. He's elite is saved for the top 10 in the league. You know that. You were an elite player.
It's foul, Paul. I understand you're on a nice day today. You're on a nice day.
Paul's being nice today.
Yeah, you want
Paul's
to be
being nice today. Let me know, please, when Aaron Rodgers decides to start working for the Steelers. I don't know where he works at right now. Let's go over to basketball. DeMar DeRozan has had many battles with LeBron James over the years. DeMar said to those who talk about LeBron being done, quote, it's always easy to pick on greatness when you haven't seen it to that level before. So, Key, fair or foul to say LeBron haters just don't understand?
So fair. It's the LeBron haters, like you said. It's just he's a Laker. He went from team to team, won championships. He's playing at 40 years old. He's able to tell the team to draft his son. He's able to move pieces around at other teams. That's what it's gonna be with him. Ain't nobody ever gonna be happy and satisfied to just enjoy the greatness that's before you. They always got something to say. That's just what it is. I tell Paul that about his own career. I say, man, people just be hating. The dude is ridiculous. But that's what people do.
Yeah, I agree. It's fair. Obviously, LeBron James is one of the greats of all time. If not the greatest in a lot of people's eyes. But with greatness, that's what comes with it. Hate comes with it. You know
but that's, I don't know. It's just stupid to try to hate on LeBron. It's right in front of you. You see it.
I think it's fair because there's so much around LeBron. He's such a universe in his brands and who he is and everything that comes along with it that people just sometimes forget. He is if not the greatest, one of the greatest players that we've ever seen play the sport. So you can hate on all you want to hate on, but what he's doing and has done on the court can't be argued with. Like it's spectacular. It's different. So the hating is if for at least for what's on the court.
I wonder how they feel when you hate on something. Because I'm not a hater. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know how haters feel. You know, Paul, I ain't a hater.
I don't know anything about that life. Over to Paul's a hater. Over to the WNBA. Paige Beckers has only played in 5 games, but Diana Taurasi sees the rookie as having an unlimited ceiling. Taurasi said that Paige will one day be the best player in the league. Key, fair, or foul for Taurasi to say this about Paige Beckers?
She knows it's fair. It's fair as all outdoors. I just saw a couple clips right there. I'm like, damn. Okay. You know, that it looks like she belongs for sure. And this is only a rookie, so imagine 4 years from now what it's gonna look like.
Paul?
Yeah, of course, it's fair. When you have one of the GOATs commenting on these type of matters, especially, we all know the decorated career that Paige Becker had at UConn. She was supposed to be doing this years ago if she hadn't injured her knee. So this is all the way fair. I can truly see it. She's going to be one of the best scorers that this league has ever seen. That's fair.
Absolutely fair. And like you said, when Taurasi is speaking about it, she knows a thing or two about being the best in the league.
She does.
Back to football. The Pro Football Focus quarterback rankings put Geno Smith at the 10 spot. Geno is right ahead of Brock Purdy at 11. Fair or foul to have Geno at 10 ahead of Brock, Key?
Ooh, 10 ahead of Brock. They're about even to me, because if I took Geno and put him in that system with Kyle Shanahan, what will Geno Smith look like and be? He's a better athlete than Brock Purdy. I mean, 10 and 11, okay, so we can flip it, turn it if you want to. I mean, they're about the same.
Paul?
I like Geno in that spot for fairness. Like you said, I think I'll get more versatility with him. He's coming off a Pro Bowl season. I like Geno. If I had to pick one right now, I'm taking Geno.
I think I'm going foul in totality. I think Brock Purdy I'm taking Brock Purdy over Geno right now, even with what happened last year. This list is a little confusing. Like, is it this year? Is it coming up? What's this year? Is it the future? Is it what happened in the past? I'm not really sure. Again, it's 10 and 11, so like swap them if you want to, but I'm going with Brock.
You know, when I'm just thinking about it, Geno Smith ran Russell Wilson out of Seattle. Think about that, though. He gave Coach Carroll enough umph to say, you know what, I'm moving on from him. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Russ kind of aided in wanting to be out of there. All right. Coming up, Shedeur Sanders has been getting lots of attention at Browns OTAs. We'll hear from someone else in that quarterback room about how Shedeur has been looking next on Speak. We're so immature.
He get Russell Wilson enough.
Joe Flacco is a seasoned vet entering his 18th season in the NFL. He's gotten a firsthand look at Shedeur Sanders during Browns OTAs, and he spoke about what he's seen from the rookie so far. Speak up, Joe.
Shedeur's been great. I mean, he's a lot of fun to be around in those meeting rooms, and I think so far there's been, at least once in the meeting room that he's made me crack a smile, and that's what it's all about. He's a young guy trying to learn some football and come out here and practice well and do those things. And like I said, he's been a lot of fun. I mean, he's come up to me and, listen, I probably wasn't too far away from playing against his dad, and now I'm playing with him.
Do you like hearing this from Flacco?
Yeah, because Flacco's in the room and he's there as a veteran kind of mentor, half coach, half quarterback, kind of in the room, so to speak, to be able to have somebody to lean on. You always want to have a veteran player to lean on with young guys, and even if Flacco never takes another snap for the Cleveland Browns, it's well worth it that he's in that room, and so I like it. I mean, I feel like at some point Shedeur's going to wind up being a starter anyway. And I looked at these numbers from whatever it means from their quarterback tracker as of yesterday when they practiced. Flacco was 9 of 14 and a touchdown. Shedeur was 7 of 9 and 3 touchdowns. Kenny Pickett was 9 of 16, 0 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel, 11 of 16, 2 TDs and a pick. I don't know what drills it was. I don't know what they did. But to see him 7 of 9 and 3 touchdowns, it's pretty good.
Efficient in camp.
Pretty efficient.
Who was your bet?
My vet was a good, dear friend of mine, but it wasn't. We was hanging out. Let's just put it that way.
He wasn't guiding you to the next step of your career. It was guiding you around New York City.
Oh my God! Yeah. Then when the new big tuna came into town, he had to get rid of him. Yeah, he had to go.
He didn't bring any other vets.
No, because by then he was the vet, meaning you knew not to mess around. You know what I'm saying, Paul? You get to latching along the veteran dudes, and y'all just all of a sudden you learn some different stuff.
Who was your vet?
My vet when I first, man, it was such a young team. Kenny Anderson, he was one of my vets. Antoine Walker was my vet, and we was the same age. But he been in the league a couple years before.
But I mean, think about it though.
Yeah.
Certain dudes, I mean, I love them both, as Paul's talking about, but just certain guys that.
They're not Joe Flacco vets.
No.
Right.
Joe Flacco's teaching different stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He gonna teach you how to get to the stadium and get home.
Jayden Daniels burst onto the NFL scene last year looking like a vet, leading his Commanders to the NFC Championship and winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's, always the danger of a sophomore slump for quarterbacks, but offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury says he expects a big leap from Jayden in 2025. A big leap.
That's what I said.
So what is the ceiling for Jayden in year 2?
Super Bowl MVP. No, Super Bowl in regular season MVP. Mm-hmm. And then if that happens, he'll be Super Bowl MVP. His thing is his is gone. It's all through the moon and everything. And remember I said it early on, when you have your entire staff that's important to you coming back, then you add a Deebo Samuel, all the bad stuff that you did, you getting ready to erase all of that, fix all of that, and pick up a few little bad habits along the way, but all the bad stuff, you're gonna clean that up. Because you got the same coaches, that's gonna teach you, hey, remember this? This is what we want to do with that. It's a terrific situation set up for him with Cliff Kingsbury and Anthony Lynn both coming back.
Man, that's tough. This brings me back to like when we talked about Caleb earlier and our expectations of him. Our expectations of him was just like dropping back, getting the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, take less sacks.
Takes less sacks. But in another quarterback, we're talking about same draft class, second year, we're talking about MVPs and Super Bowls. That's how high the bar is for this kid. And I agree, Key. I mean, he was in MVP conversations last year. He had an amazing season. I mean, at one point, I had him leading for MVP probably like around week 7 or 8. And then he gets you to the championship game. NFC Championship game. Yeah, I can't go. I mean, that's the ceiling. His ceiling is at the top.
Yeah,
his Super Bowl.
His ceiling is Super Bowl MVP, regular season MVP, being in the Super Bowl. The floor is an NFC Championship game at this point. So they set the standard. But the reason that I'm not worried about a sophomore slump for him, because generally a team like this is going to get better, but it usually means you're losing important coaching staff members. Yeah. And the fact that they did keep Cliff and Coach Lynn there and added Deebo.
You know what's so funny is I won't say any names or anything, but I was talking to Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know, about a month and a half ago or so, and we was talking, and we were talking about Jayden Daniels and the whole thing and leaving to go become a head coach. And he looked at me, he goes, why would I leave that right now?
Yeah.
He had opportunities to go become a head coach, but the opportunities in the spots that to become a head coach, he looked at the quarterback situation, he's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to sit tight for a little bit longer.
Stay there a couple years, get you a couple more wins, and you're in a completely different situation. Mm-hmm. Coming up, Haliburton can punch his ticket to his first NBA Finals tonight. Do the Pacers close things out against the Knicks in Game 5? That's next on Speak.
Let's do the Hallie.
Like Mike, I was excited. Once you get out there, you had a lot of cats that were, former D1, former overseas. I want to get out there with them. I was like, hey, put the double in there. Y'all go ahead and handle it.
Is there any chance they come back in the series?
If they come back,
If no,
I'm gonna walk. Go ahead. Yeah, tell me.
You can walk.
All right.
You taking the Chargers to win the division, and the Raiders is a lot. You are grown. You can make your own choices.
Joy, he had a long Memorial Day weekend.
My hands still smell like barbecue.
Still smell like barbecue.
People think that you and I do not know that Aaron Rodgers is not officially signed to the Steelers. Like, did Joy and Key know he doesn't have to be there because he's not actually signed to the Steelers? In my brain, when I read these things, I'm like, and how do you have this job if you don't know that Aaron is not officially there? Which I just found out. Thank you, Twitter. Where would we be without Twitter? Pacers have a commanding 3-1 lead over the Knicks and are on the brink of their first finals appearance since 2000. On the other hand, the Knicks are now in a must-win situation for the rest of the series as it shifts back to New York for Game 5. Paul, you've gone through a lot with the Knicks this postseason. Do you expect them to stay alive tonight?
This season's over. I'm looking right now, knee contusion for Cat. Oh, yeah. The Pacers own them. They're the better team. I think the series ends tonight like it did last year for the Knicks on their home court.
There's something always wrong with basketball players. It's so crazy to me.
They're putting their bodies on the
Probably because
line.
we played 82 games.
Yeah.
And y'all make $82 million a year
Yeah.
to play those 82 games.
million a game.
I'm taking the Knicks. Taking the Knicks.
I think that the Knicks stay alive as well tonight, and they push it to 6, and then it's going to be a rough exit after that. So I'm going with the Knicks
I know
tonight
the Garden
as well.
gonna be hype.
It's going to be hype, absolutely.
Overrated.
No? You don't think it's going to matter?
Overrated. I feel like you, though, about that. I do.
For sure.
That's it for us. We are off tomorrow, so we will see you back here on Monday. Thanks for joining us.